Hi everyone, it's Vanessa, and today I kind of wanted to talk about some stuff. I watched this video by Ariel Bissett where she talked about why booktubers make book hauls and why there's such popular content on Booktube. One specific word that she mentioned in her video that really sparked a lot of thoughts in me was her talking about how we have traditions here on Booktube and that helps us grow as a community. So of course I started doing research on what things Booktube and YouTube in general do to grow community, and I found this academic book called Emerging Pedagogies in the Network Knowledge Society, and it looks into how communities that collectively create and or advance knowledge utilizing technology-mediated social networks are changing the way we learned about things. I don't know if people have discussed this before, but I'd never heard of this. It has a whole chapter about Booktube as a network knowledge community, and it called us a non-institutional learning culture. It said that we are changing the way that knowledge is constructed. We are changing the way that we learn about things. Things in this situation are books. In Ariel Bissett's video, she discussed how we have staple videos that help us understand what it is we're clicking on before we click on them. I think that's very important for us. When we subscribe to people and then they come up on our subscription feed, we want to know what we're going to click on before we click on it. And as humans, it helps us categorize videos in our head better. If there's anything I've learned from library school, it's that humans love to categorize things. So TBRs, wrap-ups and recommendations, tags, discussion videos, and of course book hauls and now unhauls are an important part of Booktube's traditions. They all serve a purpose to move along dialogue in our community. All these video titles that we have are part of our own vernacular too, which I think is so fascinating, that when you're trying to discuss what a wrap-up is or what a TBR is to people who are outside of our community, they're like, huh? What is that? I've had this situation happen to me with my boyfriend and my boyfriend's friends as I've tried to explain what a wrap-up is and what a readathon is, and they're just so out of this world confused about it. But to me, when I see the word TBR, when I see the word readathon, I know exactly what it is. That's so cool, and that does inspire community. It makes us part of being in the know. We all know what this means, and people outside of our community don't really know what it means. Another thing from the chapter that I skimmed through said that Booktube has shared rules, genres, hierarchies, and values, and I also found that really insightful and made me think of things too. So shared rules I interpreted to mean sort of we don't give spoilers and we tell people what videos have spoilers and when to stop watching something if you don't want to get spoiled. I think another shared rule that we have is a lot of us give trigger warnings and heads up for graphic content or specific things that might be difficult for some people to read, and I think that's another shared rule that we all have. I'm sure there are a bunch more, but those are just two examples. Another thing was hierarchies, right? And that was defined as views, comments, and likes on videos that defined who has high visibility in our community. If you have a lot of views, that means that you're being watched by a lot of people. If you have a lot of comments, that helps YouTube recommend you to other people because they know that there's a lot of discussion happening there, so that's why they reroute a lot of people to try to watch a video that's being commented a lot. Thinking about hierarchies kind of makes me and all of us probably a little bit queasy because it's sort of a popularity contest sometimes, but it is important to acknowledge that hierarchies matter in our community because people who have a lot of subscribers have a lot more say and a lot more power because a lot more people are listening to them. And then another one is values. I feel like we are really empathetic. We care about listening to others' opinions and trying to understand where others are coming from. That's something that I really enjoy about Booktube, that I can say something and 10 times out of 10 people are going to have a good reaction to it. Nobody's going to necessarily judge me for it. I don't think I've ever really gotten a truly negative comment, and definitely that's not something that is true for everybody, but I feel overall, in the grand scheme of things, we are really empathetic towards each other and we care about each other's feelings. And I feel some values also that we have been discussing more recently are diversity and thinking about own voices and problematic content in our community. We are discussing these topics a lot more, and I think they're becoming part of our shared values of we want to hear diverse voices and we want to support people who who are sharing their own life experiences, and we also want to explain to others who are not aware why what they are reading or what they are saying about what they are reading can be seen as hurtful to some segments of our community. So I think those are some values that are new to Booktube in the past few years that I thought of automatically when I read that sentence that we have shared values. So those are some thoughts that I've had about that recently, and what we can take away from our traditions and our culture is that we are an emerging pedagogy that is changing how we talk about books. That's fascinating. Like, we are changing how we think about different books and how people learn about them. So while some people might say that our content can get stale after a while because we just do the same sort of videos, we only do wrap-ups and TBRs and reviews and hauls, I argue against that because I think that's important. It's easier for us to categorize what we're about to watch, and it still moves along dialogue in our community. So thanks so much for hearing me sort of psychoanalyze our community, and thanks to Ariel Bissett for sparking these ideas in me to start like Googling random things to try to understand why it is that we have traditions here on Booktube. If you have any comments about this, definitely leave them down below, or make a video yourself talking about this, because I love this conversation. I love kind of these meta discussions about us as a community. So thanks for watching my video. I shall see you in my next one. Bye bye.